What's the difference between being genderfluid, genderflux, and fluidflux? Let me help you out. To be genderfluid means you are different genders at different times or in different situations, whereas being genderflux means you either are the same gender all the time, but the intensity of the gender varies, or your gender changes a little, but without ever reaching another one, or both happens. Fluidflux is the combination of genderfluid and genderflux, meaning your gender changes completely and at least one gender changes only a little, or your gender changes completely and at least one gender also changes in intensity, or your gender changes completely and at least one gender only changes a little and at least one gender also changes in intensity. The distinction between the three labels is fluid too, and not clearly set. For example, a person changes between the genders agender and ilyagender. Agender is defined by the absence of gender identity, and ilyagender is defined by an extremely huge sense of gender, like gender identity turned all the way up. They are on opposite ends of the gender intensity spectrum, so to speak. This person could be classified as genderfluid, because they change from one gender to another gender and back. This person could be classified as genderflux, for example, as some kind of a neutral gender defined only by an intensity, which changes a huge amount. This person could be classified as fluidflux too, because the gender's intensity changes, and the gender changes. It always depends on one's personal perception of gender and understanding of the definitions of labels, but most importantly, to which one sees oneself belong. Even if your gender changes, you don't have to be genderfluid, because every label, including this one, is self-designated. For a long time, I only identified with the label genderfluid and classified labels with different gender intensities as different genders altogether. But the more I dove into the different identities, the more I realized I have a lot of similar genders whose only distinction is their intensity. In addition, I realized I don't jump from one gender to another, but I float between a lot of stopovers. Because of this, I began to identify as genderflux and consequently as fluidflux.